Well, before we go on, let's remove this code so that our stuff can run again. Okay, so there we go. I just removed it, and now I'm going to go back and refresh. Let's make sure this thing runs. Yeah, okay, good. All right, now what I want to talk about is how you organize code, how you break it up, and why would you want to do that? So then code is broken up. Why is it broken up? Right? You can see here, if I look in 2017, I have functions. I have a bunch of different functions going on. I have a bunch of different code, right? I can load another file and go do that. I can look here in core and I can see, wow, there's a bunch of different files. Why do we break code up? Well, here, I'm going to just slide this over. And I want you to look at how much code there is. So here's the author template. Okay, it starts at line number 1. Let's see where the bottom is. Okay, I'm still going. 510 lines of code in just that one file. Okay, let's go and look at, I don't know, how about WP styles? Okay, it starts at 1. Scroll down, there's 408 lines of code there. Let's keep going down. How about a Walker? Walker page starts at 1. We're going to scroll down. There's 210 there. Now imagine all of this code in one great big huge file. Okay. So here's post. Imagine that. Try to imagine trying to search through that and find what you're looking for. Okay. Can you picture it? So in here, there are hundreds, thousands of lines of code. Now imagine all that. You just open up one great big file and everything's in one file. How do you find what you're looking for? Really, really tough, right? So what we do instead, and you can see that here by the architecture, is we break it up. Okay, the way that you do it is you break up different files. Okay, so we have different files. And notice that they're named by what they do. For example, this file handles the rewrites. It's the rewrite API. So it starts at line number 1, and if I scroll down, I'm still scrolling. I get down to 1,955 lines of code. Okay, but everything in this file supports this class, which is WP rewrites. So it's doing that task. It helps you to find code, and then you just load that in. Okay, another way to organize code is by saying, I'm going to set up some functions. This is OOP, and that might confuse you. I'll get out of that. But here, I want to go and say, here is the setup, and everything in here does that task. I'm grouping, I'm organizing. I'm going in and saying, okay, I want to just go and say that everything in here is about setup. Makes sense, right? Okay, and I can scroll down. That's all setup. Here is where content width is handled. See how it's broken it up? The other thing that lets you do is be able to call this to run it. I only want to run this particular code when I call that. So it's a way of grouping and organizing code. That's why we break it up. It helps with this. There are software principles wrapped around things that we just group together to call clean quality coding. Okay? If you want to see some of these, you can go and look for a hashtag called clean code. Go out on Twitter and just look for that hashtag, and you're going to find all kinds of tweets that talk about the premise and the practice of clean code. Okay, you don't need to know all the specifics at this point. This is just a general introduction. But it's about this: making your code readable, making your code reusable, okay, and making it more maintainable. Now, breaking up your code works for all of these. Okay, it's more readable. I can read the code. It's more reusable. I can take this function here or this file and I can go and put it somewhere else on a different project. I can reuse it. It's maintainable because I'm not having to deal with one file that has 100,000 lines of code in it. No, it's broken up into little partials that says, okay, this file does this specific task. Within this folder that says, okay, this folder's all about structures. Okay, for example, structures would be like the HTML markup, building that structure. And then it breaks up each file in there so that it says, okay, this one's going to handle the post. This one's going to handle comments. This one will handle menus and so on. So we break it all up so that you can find stuff. Maintainability is talking about how do you maintain this thing? Yeah. So it's not just about building it. It's also that you got to maintain it, right? A bug happens. How do you find the bug? Well, by breaking things up into not only files and structures with folders and such, but also by the functions that we use, we're dividing and organizing. We're making it more readable, more reusable, more maintainable. Okay, so also think about it as you're building code. If you have a team of people, okay, if you break it up, you can say, okay, Johnny, you go work on this code. Okay, you get that one. And then Sarah, you get this one. And then they can work on the exact same project, but we've broken things up. Okay, you get that module or that feature, and you get that one, and then it gets put together by its architecture. Being able to break up code, let me tell you, I've done machines that back in the early days when I was programming in what we call binary code, Yuck, didn't get to name things by the pretty names, no. So back in those days, it was one file. Everything was in one great big file. And then you use things like, okay, when you get to here, jump back up to there. No, now go down to line number here. And this file could be huge, not to the level that we have now, but it was a robotic system, so it had a lot of code in it. Okay, so the beauty of being able to break stuff up is so you can find stuff. It's so that you can build faster. It reduces your cost. It helps you to be able to organize and architect, put things together so that things make logical sense to you. Okay, the way I put stuff together may not make as much sense to you. You'll find your own voice and your own way to put stuff together. And as you look through things like WordPress core, the Genesis framework, some plugin, as you're looking through that and you're looking at, okay, they named a folder this, and then they have all these files in here. There's a reason for that. They've structured in a particular way that fits the way their business model works so that they can find their code. Okay, so hold on to those thoughts because as we go through the next couple of episodes together, we're going to be talking about the specifics then of these groupings, these organizations, and breaking code up.